yeah, I just kind of felt like, well, firstly, hello everybody. This is your host Shady Knights, trying to do another Gamers on Gaming podcast. I figured I might as well try to kill two birds with one stone in this. While I try to complete the map, I'll try to express some thoughts that I've been having for a little while, but haven't quite found a good means of mentally expressing them. I can't seem to write what I feel without it sounding very angry, and I don't want to be, you know, another angry guy on the internet yelling and screaming and ranting about something. As strongly as I may feel about certain things that go on the internet, I try to be relatively positive about things in life. So, anyway, this is just my effort to try to do so. I want to do more Gamer on Gaming episodes. It's just I can't think of a good effective means of doing this without, you know, it taking up a lot more time than it really should. So please forgive me if this new attempt is clumsy. Believe you me, there are clumsier episodes that are hidden in the annals of the internet that I just didn't feel comfortable releasing this yet. But anyway, right now I want to talk about self-fulfilling prophecies, and in this instance, it's about Nintendo and the critics, mostly people who dislike Nintendo or are just not really seeing, or I guess not seeing is probably an improper term, but they're not really they don't see a good future for Nintendo, or they are very skeptical about the future of Nintendo. And their immediate knee-jerk reaction to this skepticism is, well, just assume that it won't be any good at all and tell everybody, oh, let's wait. The problem with this is, if you say it won't be any good, so I'll just, you know, wait and we'll just see if it'll be any good. I think the problem is a lot of critics and even developers of today still have the mindset of the 90s going through their head. When video gaming was like the video game world was exploding, and we all saw so many different things, and a lot of underdogs, you know, proved a lot of people wrong merely by virtue of, I don't know, the publishers wanting to prove people wrong, the games just being that good, you know, the console doing better than what people would originally imagine it would be. The problem with that is, back in the 90s, when the internet wasn't as strong as it is now, and you didn't have a bunch of, for lack of a better term, trolls and douchebags and whatnot, whose sole purpose in life is just to make something seem worse than what it is, so it can fail, so they can have a lot of laughs at things failing. One can argue that, you know, these people are harmless, but that's not the truth nowadays. These people have a lot of input and power on the potential sales of something. And, you know, I'm trying to think of the proper way to say this. To say that something won't do well now, it holds a lot more weight and gravity than it used to. Back in the olden days, we could say it didn't do well. And I know the 90s isn't that far from now, but as far as a lot of people are concerned, it's ancient history. So the main idea with a lot of people from what many consider the golden age of video games is that can't hurt, you know, that can't hurt anything. Me just having an opinion, me just saying that it won't do well, I'm giving it a chance by saying that I don't think it'll do well, but if it follows these suggestions, it can do fine. Well, there are nowadays in video games, a lot of people play the hype train, and if you don't have any hype for you, nobody's going to care about you, because you will be drowned amongst the other, you know, games and games consoles and whatever happens to come out, you'll be drowned upon them. Because they're getting all the hype. They're getting all the attention. And they're pushing everything in your face. Long gone are the days when I could walk into a store, have no idea of a game, and be willing to just drop a couple of bucks on it. Because stuff's expensive. Blueberries are tamed. I mean, it's $60 a pop. That's severely damning to my wallet. And a lot of people are much more discerning now. $50 back in the day wasn't that bad, considering one, we had a far more stable economy. Two, it's just, you know, it's $50. You know, two of them make 100. And all in all, it wasn't too painful. You know, $50 is more painful now than it used to be. It's almost a tank of gas now. Well, I guess. No, for some it is a tank of gas. I know if I go from empty to full. Anyway, that's not the point. The fact of the matter is, it's very expensive. You know? $60 is more than a pastime investment like it used to be. You could blow $50 a month, or hell, $100 a month on 2 good games that had some girth about them, you know, a decent amount of playtime, but you can't make that argument nowadays. Nowadays, games, their average length is about what? Maybe 10 hours? 10 hours for $50 for 10 hours, $60 for 10 hours. Not as engrossing as you know, 50 for maybe 40, or in some cases 100, depending on if you like RPGs or not. I guess, and that's also one of the things that I guess that's also what sprouted the DLC. I guess the big DLC thing, to keep people buying the game and playing the game longer. But back to the whole self-fulfilling prophecy thing. My point about this is, like I said, if you don't follow the hype train, you're destined to fail. And Nintendo, at the moment, Nintendo's always been like the center of a lot of memes, be it Navi being annoying, which she isn't, or now it being for children, which, you know, Nintendo essentially being a company for just children's games, which it really is. I mean, it's a game. From my experience with Nintendo, it's a company that tries to appeal to the most amount of people, be they casual, hardcore, or whatever. They just want to appeal to the most amount of people. And I guess you could argue that that's the same thing, that they're just going for casual, that they're not being serious about that. But if you really look at it, what are the most frequently played games on YouTube? The most frequently Let's Play games out there are what? Super Mario 64, Paper Mario, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, maybe Majora's Mask. A lot of the most frequently played games, Nintendo games. And blueberries are tame. You could argue that, you know, that was back in the day when they did used to make good games, but most of the people who like Nintendo say that their games, the games that are first party, that are strictly from Nintendo themselves, those games are better 9 times out of 10 than from any other publisher out there. So they can still, obviously they can still make good games, and obviously they still care a lot about the games that they release. The problem is, a lot of the consumers want them to release games more frequently, as you know, Microsoft and Sony are doing. But I'm sorry, I'm drifting off on a tangent here. The self-fulfilling prophecy thing that I started about, kind of lost track of. If you say it's not going to do good, and you won't buy anything you won't buy the console, you won't show any interest in it at all until it does well, it will not do well at all. This isn't just for Nintendo, this is this is for all consoles out there. The reason that I went on the tangent that I went on is Sony and Microsoft got the hype train pretty much locked down. I mean, everyone says the PS3 is, you know, it's the most technologically powerful thing God ever let be created on by the hands of man, as far as gaming is concerned to some people. And Microsoft is just popular. You know, it's really weird. The same people who spit in the face of Nintendo for being who spit in the face of the Wii for being essentially the GameCube polished, are the same people that say that the Xbox 360 is fantastic, even though it has the highest mortality rate. And it's the oldest of the consoles out there. I mean, yeah, it was out there at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, as the GameCube, or was that... I'm not sure if that was the Xbox or the 360, but it's a little bit more advanced than the GameCube. And the Wii was a bit more advanced than the game. Well, I don't think it was any more advanced than GameCube or not. I think it was just reformatted GameCube. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, it was old as the GameCube. I'm pretty sure it came out in the GameCube's lifespan. It is an ancient relic as far as the rest of the consoles are concerned. Yet people are all okay with it. Any and all problems that it has are completely ignored by the fact that it does internet better than Sony and Nintendo. I gotta say, I don't think that's that big of a... I don't think that's much to be proud of. I mean, it's definitely something. I'm not saying that it's a piece of crap. I'm just saying that its hype is pretty strong. So it's going to be fine. Everyone's mouth is watering for the Xbox 720. Everyone is waiting with bated breath for the PS4 announcement and release. But you don't see many people. But the people who were waiting for the Wii U, yes, the day one update was very annoying to a lot of people. And so me, I didn't really care one way or another. Here's the thing. A lot of the complaints that the people have with the Wii U generally stem upon that day one update and the fact that a lot of people say it doesn't look any better than the PS3 or 360, even though all the games that you can compare those to either came out on the PS3 and 360 or are not games that are meant to be high def or anything like that. You know, it's comparing apples to pomegranates. Really weird relation to, really odd comparisons or something. But yes, everyone says that these games are they're not much better. They don't look any better, which honestly speaking, Batman Arkham City, as much as I love that game, it doesn't look much better than what I've seen on the PS3, and I'm 100% okay with that. I didn't buy it to get. I don't expect when they port games for them to seriously sit down and upscale graphics for a new game. I feel that if they're going to port a game from one console A to B, they're just going to try to get the look and feel the same. I felt that way back when I played Aladdin on the Super Nintendo and on the Sega. I feel the same way now. But I don't know. I guess people expect publishers to spend that money on this stuff to make it look better, to prove Nintendo right or something. That's not what will prove Nintendo right or wrong or anything. The only thing that can prove any of these companies right is their console being worth your money, and not the better console, because that's not the argument that I think is important. That everyone's paying attention to. Everyone's thinking in the terms of, is this the best console to own? And as far as I was concerned back in the day, that was never the question. In the 90s, it wasn't so much, is this the best console to own? Even though that really was the big question, Sega versus Nintendo back, the the real, and as far as I'm concerned, the real true console wars is what Sega does with Nintendo. The big argument wasn't about if they did any better. It was about how much more fun you had with one as you would with the other. Was it worth your money? The console wars thing, just hype, just flavor. Are you going to have fun with this console? Yes or no? I have fun with my Wii U. I had fun when I played the Wii. I still play the Wii on occasion, though admittedly, the PS3 kind of got most of my attention because Metal Gear Solid 4 and a couple of other PS3 games I kind of just drowned myself in for a while. But I don't dislike my Wii. I don't feel it was a wasted investment because I like the console. I like that they're doing something new and different, and I am more than willing to support that. I am completely understanding people who aren't willing to support new things. They just want a game. Completely fair. But it's very disingenuous for you to say that you want the console to do well, but you're going to wait and see if the console is going to do well. You cannot eat food if you do not eat food. You cannot eat, I hope that makes sense. You can't expect something, you can't expect the lights to come on in your house if you don't turn on the light switch, if you don't pay the bills for the lights to come on in your house. That's what consoles are. These things are investments. We are paying into these companies to give us experiences, and these companies are supposed to provide said experiences. That's the mentality that I have. I am not really so concerned with, admittedly, I'm not really interested or hyped up or concerned with supporting PS3 because I know that they'll, one, get all the support that they can stomach. And they got enough press. They'll be fine. I will more than likely get a PS4. I might even get another, Xbox 720, but those don't get my immediate support for the moment because I haven't seen or heard anything new from them. And Nintendo gets my support because of the type of gamer and the type of person I am. I love innovation. I love innovation with a passion. I love new ways to play games. And Nintendo, as far as I have been aware, are the only ones in this and the last generation of games that really tried to do something different and new. Sony and Microsoft tried after they noticed that the Wii was selling like crack, but they were all based on the same thing as Nintendo, motion controls. And Sony's vie for the 3D experience, I could argue that comes from the 3DS. Nintendo was already trying to get 3D, and they didn't want me to buy glasses or a special television for it. I just had to buy their 3DS. And I dig that. A lot of gamers I can understand. A lot of people, hell, don't like 3D. They think that it's, it's hurting and it's ruining the industry. But again, this falls back to self-fulfilling prophecy. 3D is horrible. 3D is making everything worse. I can't stand 3D. 3D is just the worst thing ever. It's ruining games. Well, bad 3D is ruining movies. Bad 3D is ruining games. Have I seen a good 3D movie? No. I haven't seen Avatar. I heard that was actually the best 3D movie ever. But I'm not interested in Avatar, and I haven't seen it. But there are obviously good 3D movies. There are reasons for you to there's good to and bad to everything. It's called advancement. In order for you to learn how to walk, you're going to stumble and fall. But if you just ignore everything and say that it won't do good because it's stupid, because it doesn't work and it can't work and it never will work, that's ridiculous. Motion controls are stupid. Motion controls shouldn't exist. I disagree with that. I believe poor motion controls hurt games more than help them. Gimmicky motion controls hurt games more than they help them. And bad publishers who say that they will wait and see if this is worth them investing time in, for them to invest time in, invest time in to make a game for, to see if it'll do well, because they're not sure how well it's doing. It looks like it might fail or something like that. Well, of course it's not going to do well now. You not really help anything. You damned it to do poorly. I hope I'm making sense. I know I ramble, and I know I tend to go off topic a lot when I ramble, but this is really something that's been driving me absolutely crazy. Like, for example, I think it's not him. REV Studios or something like that. The show that Adam Sessler went to recently after X-Play. They had this big thing about Nintendo Direct and how they said Nintendo Direct was very poorly done. Nintendo was just apologizing for this and that, and they're talking about updates, but they haven't really shown any new games. Okay, here's the problem. Here's what I have with it with a lot of this, because they reflect a lot of what I hear other people say about Nintendo. Okay. I remember a while ago people used to say Nintendo needs to talk about another Legends of Zelda. They need to talk about another Legend of Zelda. They need to keep the fans excited. They need to release more information about new games. They need to keep the fans excited and enthused. Well, the previous Nintendo Direct that happened a few weeks ago, they talked about new games that they were coming out. Now, they didn't have many details about these new games. And here's the thing. Firstly, they apologized that there were no new release games coming out. From I think it was from January and through February. I believe they did promise that new games were going to be released March onward. But, the games weren't up to what they considered Nintendo quality, and they just weren't comfortable releasing half-assed games. They apologized for that, and hold on. Congratulations, your map exploration rate has reached 100%. You earned a fabulous reward. 144th scale bunny obtained. Like I was saying, they apologized for the delays. They told people that they wanted to release stronger games, and they were going to do that. Then they proceeded to talk about new games that were going to come out. Again, they didn't really have not many solid videos. I think there was one, but not so many. But they did have some pictures, and they were showing us new games. Bayonetta 2 didn't really have a gameplay video per se, just the developers talking about they're very excited for it. They're very enthused about it, and they're working to make this game true to the original, but better. Same stuff they always promises. And I thought that was pretty good. A lot of people thought it was horrible. Thought that they didn't do anything. They were sitting here apologizing. They were just apologists, and they're not showing any new games. Nintendo stated that they were going to do an HD remake of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Personally, Wind Waker was my least favorite of the Legends of Zelda games, but I never beat it. I played some of it. It didn't hold my interest as much as Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So getting an HD was it was interesting to me. I heard that it has the very best characterization of Ganondorf ever, and Ganondorf is my favorite villain, period. So giving him excellent characterization, it being an HD, I might as well. It's coming out this year. I might as well. They didn't have any gameplay, but they did show upscaled graphics, and it literally looking like looking like how they explained it. They rebuilt the whole game. I think they said they rebuilt the whole game, but it looks like they did. It doesn't look like it's sharper. It looks like they really did sit down and redo this. It's really nice to me. And they mentioned that there is another Legend of Zelda game coming out. There's Wind Waker HD remake, and then there is a new Legends of Zelda game coming out after that. Not this year, obviously, but later on. I thought that was good. plenty of people were complaining about they didn't show any videos. Well, not plenty of people. In the video I saw on RAV Studios, one of the guys was talking about they didn't show any videos on it. Well, damn it. What can Nintendo do to please anybody? I'm not sitting here apologizing for Nintendo. I'm not sitting here trying to play the Nintendo fanboy or anything like that. Again, I have all 3 consoles, and I just support Nintendo for their innovation. I don't support them over anybody. I merely support them as much as I support the others. Excuse me. But people have been crying about Nintendo needs to show new videos. They did that with their Nintendo Direct. With their Nintendo Direct, people were complaining. People were complaining about excuse me, sorry, my throat is dry. They were complaining about they didn't show enough. They were complaining about they need to have more Legends of Zelda. They were doing an HD remake of a widely popular Legends of Zelda game. People were complaining that they didn't see any videos. They only saw pictures. Well, I don't see anything more that Nintendo can do to please its fans. They want a classic style Mario game. New Super Mario Brothers is too much like the old. They want a new Mario game. They want a new Mario Brothers game. It hasn't been fully announced yet, but it's Nintendo. You know you're going to get one. I don't know what it's going to be about, but these are things that we know is going to happen. They want a new Metroid game. They want a new Star Fox game. I am 100% on board with getting new versions of all these things, but I do believe we as fans also need to calm down and just calm down a little. And just remember, Nintendo, they put out games that we all consider a mark of excellence for a reason, because they're not known for half-assing their games. When they say that they want to release something and have it look nice, they want to release something and have it look nice. They want it to be a memorable experience. They want it to be something that you will love to go back to because it's good, not because there are other achievements for you to get, not because there are other, not for OCD reasons, but because you just love playing it. I defy anybody who has played Super Mario World to say that every once in a while you don't get the itch to just play the game because you love it. I defy anybody to tell me that. Or many people I've heard who just occasionally just get an itch to play A Link to the Past, what many people consider the very best Legends of Zelda game that I unfortunately missed out on. A lot of these games, without meaning to sound cliche, changed a lot of lives, or our outlook on lives, or what games are and what they can do. And the stuff that I'm saying isn't, again, me just trying to sit here being a fanboy for Nintendo or anything like that. This is how I feel as someone who wants to become a video game designer. I don't sit down here and tell you how I think this should be or what this is, unless it's how I genuinely feel about this. I want to be the guy that folks can look up to and say, hey, that Shady Nights on YouTube, that guy makes one of the best games that I've ever played in my life. I love it. I want people to be able to say that a game that I made, they love. That it changed how they saw things, or how they thought about things, how they looked at things. What games did for me, I want to do for other people. But, unfortunately, back to this hype train that I mentioned earlier, unless you get a lot of press, PR, and all this stuff, it's like you'll be buried. And right now, as I mentioned earlier, the current meme of the internet now is for Nintendo to be less than impressive, less than important. They're not hardcore. They're not trying to cater to you. They're not listening to you. And that's the thing that sickens me the most. A lot of these people say that Nintendo isn't listening to its fans, when every change that I've seen Nintendo do in the past several years has been them trying to listen and cater to their fans. Maybe not as fast as we want them to. I can completely agree with that. A lot of people wanted Xenosaga and The Last Story and a lot of other RPGs for the Wii to come to Nintendo now. Well, not now, but way earlier than they did. A lot of people want Nintendo's consoles to be region free. There could be legal reasons why they can't do that, like serious legal reasons that make border from country to country. So as much as I would love for them to do that, I can understand why they haven't done it. But I do hope and pray that whatever reason that they don't do that, they can just, stop it. Eventually. Like, very soon eventually. I would like to play some Japanese games. Sometimes, I am a firm believer that, well, not a firm believer. My tastes towards games tend to lean towards Japanese games. Maybe because they're somewhat different, but I don't know. I've always had more fun playing Japanese style games as opposed to Western games. Mostly. There are some that I do like, but yeah, it's really weird. People want to say that Nintendo doesn't try to listen. Nintendo does its own thing. They don't well, not that they do their own thing, but yeah, well, no, yes, I was right. They do their own thing. They're not listening to their fans. They're not trying to cater to them enough. They're just a bunch of old men sitting in their room and reminiscing about how the time when Nintendo was great. Well, I think that's a very childish way to look at the situation of what's going on. Like I said earlier, the way games are handled now are not the same way that they were handled back in the 90s. And Nintendo was the king for a while, but when third-party developers moved on to other consoles, naturally, they can't hold the same interest in people as they used to because there's not many people playing the games. There's not that many games for a wider audience on their console. The developers have moved from Nintendo to PS2 to Sony, and then from there to Xbox 360, Microsoft. And that's kind of where we are now. I don't really see them going back to Nintendo in droves yet, because it's more on the lines of how, unfortunately, we're just stuck right now. How well the Wii U does. If is it going to do well for developers to make their consoles on their own, or for developers to want to support the console, or is it going to do mediocre or like the Wii and just drift away into obscurity with people complaining more about motion controls? I find it really sad too, not because Nintendo could fail and end up in obscurity, but because fans don't even know what they're saying 9 times out of 10. They don't know what kind of hell they are bringing in on themselves. People who, they don't understand the console, the origins of the console wars. Yes, Sony and Nintendo were fighting at each other tooth and nail and at each other's throat all the time. But that was because you logistically could not make some games for both consoles. You could not make some games for Nintendo that you could for the Super Nintendo that you could for Sega. Or the gameplay, because the Super Nintendo had more buttons and the Sega had fewer, gameplay would just be drastically different on both. So there was just different ways you had to go about making games for these consoles. And developers, I don't know what it was about them back in that day, but it seemed like they just took that challenge and ran with it. Sega had some of the best games you ever played in your life. Super Nintendo had some of the greatest games you ever will play. But it's like, as soon as we got into this era of let's make it look shiny, let's make it look pretty, the love for making something legitimately great, legitimately mind-breaking, fantastic, it just seems to have gone away. One could argue, obviously, that Uncharted, it's a great game and what have you, and it's full of all these great experiences. Uncharted is a fantastic series. I take nothing away from Uncharted. But I will say this. For as much as they put in making the game look good, if they put that much attention into making the game longer, keeping the game playing good, and improving upon this already pretty good story, imagine how much better it could have been. Instead of what? I think that game can maybe about 8 hours, 8 or 10. I'm not exactly sure the length of that game. I know it's on the short side because my friend, he loves Uncharted. He has all 3 of them, and he is someone who doesn't have a lot of time to beat these games. He can beat it in about a week. So I believe he beat that one in about a week, and that's but while he was busy and had other things to do. So it's not a terribly long game. None of them are, from what I've been told. I've only played the first one. But, you know, this focus in just making things look more real or prettier or anything like that, people say that's the future of gaming, and that's why a lot of people think that handheld games are the ruination of gaming right now. When they're really not. I know this is way off of what I started on, but handheld games, mobile games are fun, addictive games that are essentially run on. They're run on the premise of. Let me try to think of the proper way to say this. They run on the premise of. Man, my brain is not working right now. Oh, yeah. You got to make this game as fun as possible with as few parts as possible. So, it looking good and whatnot is more of a secondary thing, because if it can't draw people in and keep them playing it, then it fails. Pure and simple. And I feel that a lot of these people have forgotten that piece of happiness that we used to get. I don't know. People are worrying about the wrong things with the future of video gaming. I would think that the people say that the people like to copy a lot in mobile gamings and what have you, so it's obviously not going to be nearly as fun as a console game. But people do that in console games too. How many Modern Warfare clones do you see? How many Mass Effect wannabes are out there? How many Halo wannabes are out there?
What a bunch of pushovers.
There are plenty of other games. There are copycats in every genre. There's everyone wanting to be the next Mario. Everyone wanted to be the next Master Chief. Everyone wanted to be the next Solid Snake.
I know.
But it doesn't keep us from enjoying, the legit good Solid Snakes, Master Chiefs, and Marios out there, does it? No, it doesn't. We still play it. We still love it because, damn it, it's fun. It's fun. That's the only way that's the only word I can think of to properly express how I feel about it and how these games make me feel.
We're sorry, my lord.
When we start paying attention to how fun a game is over how pretty it looks, I think we'll be better off.
Not admire her.
But I don't think that time is quite here yet. I'm trying to think. There's something else I want. I know there was something else that I wanted to talk
show
about.
Me. What is it? You've got the Crimson Blade spy? No, sir.
Let me think.
A report.
What did I want to talk about?
And a missive from Duke Box. From the captain of the Dragon Brigade.
Well, I can't think of anything in particular, but I really want to discuss this for some time.
Our sentries have spotted 2 suspicious men within the compound.
It's kind of
intelligence,
ridiculous
they
for
might be the 2 escapees.
people to. I don't know.
So they've come to
I don't. It's ridiculous for people to just automatically assume that something isn't going to be good until they haven't played it before. They haven't. They haven't given it a chance to really show what it can do, to really shine. I mean, a lot of people say that Uncharted was the true essence of what the PS3 was capable of, because really games didn't really look great until after Uncharted. Metal Gear Solid 4 looked pretty damn good, but Uncharted just really had a different style of its own, and it really brought about the wow factor that you can pull off in these things. And it really did show the wow factor of what the PlayStation 3 was capable of. People say that it could do this and these things weren't that great. And really the PS3 almost failed because of the bad press it was getting due to the price point and it losing a lot of its exclusives. The loss of its exclusives really did hurt it for a while. And then it did seem to bounce back and, hold its own. And I guess one could say that Nintendo is going through the same thing. They're going through their trial by fire. Now they have to prove themselves. And I feel that is a stupid method that we use to evaluate the value of a console or of a game or of anything by how much it is liked. Well, again, my very poor choice of words when I'm trying to think, and I almost didn't do this because I couldn't even think of the right words to write down, but it's not how much is okay. There's more to the PS3 than just how pretty it can make games. It has the Blu-ray discs that it has. The Blu-ray discs that it runs on have the potential to allow for long as hell games if they were scaled down in looks quality. You could have you could easily put Star Ocean on, which is a 2-disc game. You could easily put that on all on one Blu-ray, on one PS3 Blu-ray. And you could add more to the story. You could add more side quests. You could add more things to do. Now that I think about it. Oh wait, yeah, it has. You could add more side quests. You could add more endings, more extra things in this game. If they did sit down and just think, we could if they scaled it back and actually legitimately try to do different things and new things on this on the PS3, you could get a lot more story and quite possibly some far more interesting things going on in in each game than we get now. I mean, it could play games smoother than the PS2 could, and it can make them look better than the PS. It can play games smoother and look better than the PS2. And still not even seriously have to tap into tap into the limits of the PS3 of the PS3's hardware, which is a sad thing I don't really see practiced nearly enough. There's more to the Xbox 360 than its online superiority. To be honest with you, again, full disclosure, I don't really like the Xbox 360 due to its obscene mortality rate, and Microsoft's not really giving a damn about fixing that in how many years since it's been out? It's been out how long? And Microsoft has essentially said, screw improving it. People are still buying it, so why are we going to make the console last longer? That is what I consider not listening to your consumers and essentially giving them a runaround. I find that far more insensitive to consumers than anything one can claim Nintendo's doing. But it has this. The console itself isn't bad. It has things it does very well. It plays games in HD, and it plays them looking very nice. Mass Effect is a very sexy looking game, and you know, if they scaled down the games and just focused on putting more content in the game, in the disc itself, rather than making it look good and then adding content later, if that, if at all, it'd be better for everyone, I would feel. Oh, yeah, but I do recall what I meant to talk about, to discuss it well, again, it falls on with the whole hype train. I guess that's why I got on that track, because it was something I wanted to discuss. Hype and internet memes, they do far more damage to the gaming industry than people I think give it credit for. For example, something that a friend likes to send to me was a meme that not a meme. Hold on a second. Yes, a meme that Brental Floss had kind of started. I don't know if it's like a full-blown meme, but it's something that he said and repeated a time or two. Was Nintendo's saying that this is the strongest Nintendo's launch lineup that they've had ever, and his immediate knee-jerk reaction was, "What about F-Zero and Pilot Wings and Super Mario and Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers? Oh, these are all startups. These are all great games, and I don't see anything like that for the Wii U." So I got a little curious, and this is what you saw earlier when I was screwing around accidentally pressed the wrong button. I went to Wikipedia, well, Google, which sent me to Wikipedia, and I wanted to look up the the launch lineups for consoles. So for the Famicom, or Nintendo Entertainment System, Japanese release, 3 games. The US had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 games. And the Famicom Disk System, I think that's also part of whatever Famicom. It had Legends of Zelda on it. Nice. Super Mario Brothers. Nice. So Super Mario Brothers came out for us on the regular NES. So a fairly decent lineup, it's a decent amount of games that you see right here. So then I was like, okay, that's not bad. Let's take a look at the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo, not that many games, as you can see, for this lineup. 2 for Japan, 5 for US, 3 for European. Which made me scratch my head a little. Now, these aren't how many games came out for the console altogether. These are just the launch titles that came out for these games. So, N64. Pilot Wings is mentioned. Super Mario 64 is mentioned. And so we have 3 for Japanese release, 2 for US launch, and 3 for European launch. Again, not that many. So, more I looked at this, the more curious I got. GameCube launched with many more. 3 for Japanese, 2 for 13 for US. 24 European. Much bigger than the last time. And I know I'm going through this in a very slow method, but forgive me, please. I'm not really good on the console generations and such. And the Wii's launch significantly larger than that, both on all 3 counts. US, Japan, and European. They all have pretty good launch titles. I mean, you know, yeah, they have pretty good launch, and they also had the Virtual Console, which also launched relatively strong. And the Wii U actually does legitimately have a pretty impressive launch title, and not all the launch. I'm sorry, launch. What is that? Collection. I don't know the proper term for it. It has a pretty good amount of launch games, and I do think it is legitimately bigger than the rest of them that they've ever had. They literally can say this is the most impressive launch release that they had, because it literally is the most impressive launch that they had. And this isn't even counting. This isn't even counting all of the games that are on the launch. I don't count launch day as launch. For me, launch is like within the first few months of the game's release. We've yet to see Pikmin. We've yet to see Lego Cities. I don't think Pikmin, Lego Cities, and I think Bayonetta 2 is supposed to come out in a few months. I think it's supposed to come out before summer. So I will also consider that as well as a launch title. You cannot. I do. I can understand if you don't, but I do. This is a significant launch title. I mean, list. It's a significant launch list. I don't really see where they lied at. Where people come up with this nonsense. I get that it's not Star Fox 64. I get that people want another Star Fox game. Lord knows I do. I get people want another Metroid game worth playing, and I do too. I love Metroid, though admittedly I got into Metroid around the Prime series. It just never really seemed like that. It never seemed like it was my type of game, but for whatever oh, it's because I had a Wii and I wanted to play. I figured I had a Wii, I might as well play Metroid Prime 3 on my Wii. Why not? It's for the Wii, so I should try it. I loved it. I really found that to be a very engrossing game, and I'm pretty sure it had plenty of backtracking. But it didn't bother me because I knew what I was getting into. I know Metroid is known for its backtracking, so, you know. If you play some games, it's like playing The Sims and then complaining about there's no shooting. Why are you playing The Sims if you want shooting? Why are you playing SimCity if you want to play Grand Theft Auto, you know? Apples to pomegranate. So, I don't know. I don't know why it's so fun and popular for some folks to bash on Nintendo. I get the feeling that the PS4 bashing will start soon, as will the 720. And it just hurts my head and my heart a little to just know that this is coming and can do nothing to stop it. So I figured, you know what? At the very least, I can be a voice, one of hopefully many voices against it. But I know there are far more voices that are for this mayhem. Because, let's be honest, it gets attention, which is what a lot of people want for one reason or another. You know, they want to be popular, or they want people to pay attention to them. I don't know I can't list all the reasons why people keep doing what they do, but they have their own reasons for doing so. I cannot stop them. As Pancake's guy said, I can't stop people. I can't expect people to stop being idiots on the internet.
That was fun.
Sad. As hard as I wish, I cannot stop them from doing that. At the very least, I can put out my voice of attempted reason as much as rambly as it may be, as off topic as I may be, it is because it is with the deepest of love that I am off topic and that I ramble, because it means really that much to me. Probably a way more than most folks, but again, this is the career field that I want to go into. And I guess an archaeologist would feel the same about people wanting to destroy precious artifacts, you know. I can definitely understand that, but I think I've talked like way too much, and you're probably tired of listening to me now. So I do thank you all for watching this episode of Let's Gamers on Gaming. Again, this is the first time I've tried to do it this way. I figured since I was doing the map completion, or was planning on doing it later, I might as well just talk while doing it. And I just hope I hope you all understand what I mean. I hope I don't sound too annoying. I hope this isn't too horrible. So, thank you all again for watching Gamers and Gaming Podcast, the podcast for gamers, brought to you by your host, Shady Nights. You all take it easy, and I'll see you